Hey everyone, great to see your smiling faces. I'm just gonna assume you're smiling. Why don't you grab yourself a cup of coffee, a glass of wine, a beer, whatever you prefer. Get comfy, because I'm gonna show you how to make these amazing herb gardens out of mason jars and pallet wood. Well, alright, maybe there's a few more ingredients in that, but they're simple, so you get the point. So, let's get into it. So I had this idea to do a project for my sister and my sister-in-law. They're out there every day helping people right now in this crazy time, and I just wanted to do something to brighten their day. So, because both of them cook, and it's really hard to get any fresh ingredients these days, I decided to make them some herb gardens. And since they both live in apartments, I'm gonna make it something simple with mason jars and the pallet wood that I have. I drew this out, and this is kind of the design that I came up with. Let's see if it works. Like most pallet projects, this one starts with digging through a whole pile of wood. I've deconstructed a bunch of pallets already, so I have this pile to go through. And you can check out that video next week. So now it's time to cut the holes for the mason jars.
My husband is busy making a jig. I have a hole saw, but he's intent on this, so.
The jig didn't work. The hole saw is too small. So it's time to make a quick masked journey to the hardware store where we bought this jig. Shout out to Milescraft, because trust me, this jig is worth every cent. So after cutting all my boards to length, now it's time to sand. I have a set that I'm going to paint. It's just pine, and it's a good wood to use, but I'm gonna paint that, so I'm not gonna get super precious about sanding it. Just gonna kind of give it a quick finish. The other wood is some sort of hardwood. This wood, oh my goodness, the grain is gorgeous. Holy moly, pallet wood, seriously? Definitely not staining this one, and definitely going to try to sand it as much as I can. At this point, if I had a planer, I would absolutely plane it all down, because it is also pretty wonky.
It's assembly day.
herbs drying, I'm gonna go ahead and do the planting in the mason jars. So do you remember that mercury glass I made last week? Well, I'm using it in this project. So if you haven't seen that video, go check that out. We are going to start with putting a layer of rocks. That way the water has somewhere to escape to, and that way the roots don't rot. Next is, well, the potting soil. So you're gonna add a layer of the potting soil, not all the way to the top because you are going to be adding a plant into it. Now it's time to plant your herbs in your mason jars. While I was out at the store getting the jig, I also picked up a couple herbs. I was going to try to grow them from seed, but that's not working so well. So I picked up a cilantro, a rosemary, and a basil. I know cilantro is a little polarizing, not everyone loves it, but both sisters love it, so it works there. Once you add your plant in, you have a mini garden. Now you're gonna set those aside until the holder is done. So now to finish everything off, I'm going to spray down both projects with an outdoor spray-on spar urethane. The reason for that is because of herb gardens, they're gonna get water on them, they're gonna sit in a windowsill. I'm just gonna double protect them. So, as you might have noticed, I messed up a little bit. I assembled it before gluing it. That's not the best way to do it. It just doesn't make it as secure. I took it back apart and using glue, I reassembled it. This way, doing it the correct way. To assemble, you're going to pre-drill to make sure there's no splitting going on. And with this wood, because I've done so much prep work, I'm going to double ensure that there's no splitting going on. So after you add the glue and you're about to screw in, add a clamp to right where your screw is gonna go in. That's just gonna make sure that the wood doesn't have an option to go out and split. Like I said, I've done this before and it split after all this work and it's so frustrating. So I'm just doubling ensuring that this won't happen. Okay, so the painted one. This is a little bit of scenic magic, if you will. Painted the wood, then I took sandpaper to it, very light sandpaper, I think it was a 220. Sanded the top of it in just certain places to give it the worn look. But now, I'm gonna give it even more of a worn look. You can use a dark wax or something like that. I'm gonna use a gel stain. I'm just gonna rub it over the surface and rub it off, and it's just gonna give this really great look. Now that your base is done, it's time to attach the top. I got these latches on Amazon. The link is in the description below. They're a little bit of a pain because the screws are so tiny and piddly, but they worked really well and they made the project work how I wanted it to. Quick tip. When you're pre-drilling, if you have a small margin and you don't want to mess that up, wrap a piece of blue tape or really any kind of tape around your drill bit. That way you have a visual aid of when to stop. So now that they're dried, they're assembled, they're done and ready for delivery. Hey, I hope you enjoyed watching this. I absolutely love how these guys turned out. Can you believe that this is pallet wood? It's insane. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It keeps you up to date with what's going on here and it helps me out, so why not? Well, I will see you next time. See ya. By now it's iced coffee, and it didn't mean to be before. He's deciding he's going to be needy today.
You can just do the assembling, but like talking about the clamping.
Waiting for the slow chameleon to exit frame.